Good evening or good afternoon, wherever you are. I hope you're having a beautiful day. So, this is going to be another episode of the podcast at a somewhat unconventional time. The reason for this is that we are flying back to Vancouver today from San Diego, and so with doing so, we wanted to make sure that we delivered upon our promise, particularly to our client group, of doing 20 mindset episodes over the first 20 business days of the month of May. So we're going to get straight into this because a lot of you are going to watch this on replay. So if you do come in during the course of this podcast, please let us know you're in here. Let us know you're here. Give us a bit of a howdy in the comments. And if you do watch this on replay, which I assume the vast majority of people will do, then please get stuck in to a hashtag replay in the comments. Now we're going to get started in just a second. So cheeky drink of the water and we're good. So without further ado, let's get stuck into another episode of this Rise podcast. The title of this episode is called When You Feel Like Giving Up. We're going to start as we have with a quote. Anyone can want a gold medal, but few people can train like an Olympian. Anyone can want a gold medal, but few people can train like an Olympian. Today's Rise has been inspired by one of my favorite books. It's the book that I think every single person in BBA should absolutely be reading. And if you're not in our Better Body Academy, you should read it anyway. This book is an absolute Bible. When we're trying to change anything in our life, it comes down to our habits. Our goals don't define what we get. Our habits do. They determine our life. We're going to talk a little bit about motivation in this episode and the struggle of the day-to-day grind. I want this episode to be short, real as fuck, and hopefully give you a little bit of a mindset shift. So let me ask you a question. Do you ever feel like just giving up? Like totally just giving up? And when I ask that question, it's kind of a rhetorical question because I know a lot of you do, because inside of our client group, we see it all the time. We hear you saying things like, I'm stuck. I'm just going through a rough patch right now. I'm really tired. I don't feel like cooking. I don't feel like going to the gym. I don't feel like hitting 10,000 steps. I feel like giving up. And so if you resonate with any of those statements, I totally feel that. And I think this episode's going to help. It's frustrating because it doesn't matter if you've been consistent in your transformation for an entire week. Right now just feels hard. For whatever reason, right now feels hard despite what's happened successfully over the last few days or a week. It's like you thought you were really starting to make some progress, right? You felt the momentum there, but right now you feel like that old mindset is trying to pull you back. And then what happens as a consequence of that? You start having what are called meta feelings. Meta feelings. These are feelings about feelings, okay? So I'll give you an example. You're feeling tired. You feel bad about feeling tired. You feel annoyed about feeling bad that you feel tired. Then you start to feel guilty about feeling annoyed, about feeling bad, about feeling tired because you know that you need to treat yourself with more self-love. And now you feel like your lack of self-love is a problem. So then you feel shameful about having no self-love. Does anyone resonate with this? Before you know it, you were 10 levels deep in this thinking pattern of meta feelings. I get it because it happens to me as well. Remember, we're talking here about what happens when you just don't feel like it. Let me show you what happened for me last night. A candid example. I have a flight back to Vancouver today. I know the kids are going to be up early and need looking after. So last night I needed to write today's podcast, so I didn't have to do it now. It's 9:30 at night. My brain is completely dead. I feel frustrated that my brain is dead because I've got important work to do. And then I get annoyed that I'm feeling frustrated about something insignificant like this. And then I feel stupid and almost reactive after I've just given a podcast earlier that day on reactivity and not reacting. And then I get annoyed that I still can't get my brain to work because I feel defeated. And then I feel guilty because my personality is to never be defeated. And then I realize that I'm 10 levels deep in meta feelings. So I'm stating this to just let you know that you're no different and I'm no different to any other person. We have these feelings about feelings. What do I do when this happens? When I notice these feelings, these meta feelings happen in the story that I'm telling myself? The most important thing is that you catch yourself doing what you're doing. You stop the story that you're telling yourself. And actually, a lot of the times you don't actually have to physically force it to stop because it's your very consciousness kicking in, your awareness kicking in that stops the story, right? As soon as you become aware of, oh, I'm doing those meta feeling things again, you bring presence and that stops the story again. And so you just have to continue doing this over the course of the day. James Clear, who is the author of Atomic Habits, I have learned to think of these thoughts that come into my mind, these little thought bubbles over the course of the day, thoughts like I'm tired or I'm stuck in the moment. They can be interpreted in one of two ways. The first way that they could be interpreted is as a order or a statement. Okay, I'm tired is a thought bubble that's come up. That means I'm tired. So in other words, the thought is the order. I am tired, so I must be tired. Or I'm stuck, so I must be stuck. Or the second way that these little thought bubbles that come up all day in your mind, and they're mostly negative, aren't they, is to be taken as a suggestion. And if you can pause for a moment and just think, what suggestions are going to come up as a result of that thought bubble, I'm tired? Well, the first suggestion would be the suggestion that you could give up and take the easy road. But if I pause, I might be able to come up with a few more suggestions, such as, Jace, think of how you're going to feel in 20 minutes when you've at least written the introduction for this podcast. And then tomorrow, you'll just be able to come in with momentum because you've already started something. And think of how that will affirm your identity as being a winner. And perhaps the suggestion of this I'm tired thought bubble is that I make a start on the task now because I'm tired and then get a sleep in, get up early tomorrow and rip into finishing it before the kids are awake. And that's exactly what I did. What you're listening to right now is exactly what happened last night. I was brain dead at 9:30. All the stories, I'm tired, I don't feel like doing this. Oh, hang on, I can take this as a statement or an order, or I could take this as a suggestion to do something different, which was, look, how about we just make a start on the introduction to this podcast, put down a few notes, go to sleep, get some good rest, get up early, and get the podcast finished before tomorrow's. So what actually happens is you come up with these different options if you're able to not react in the moment. Now, in your case, I can't be bothered hitting my 10,000 steps statement or thought bubble. That could be taken as an order, or it could be taken as a suggestion. You could give up. You could just, let's pretend it's 9 o'clock at night, you look down at your watch, you see that you're only on 7,000 steps. You could choose to give up. And when you choose to give up, what happens is that affirms a negative identity that you have about yourself. It affirms that you don't stick to your work. Or, taken as a suggestion that you think about the different options, it could be that, well, right now the kids are in bed, so you could choose to do these final 3,000 steps around the kitchen table, and maybe you could do it while giving your friend a call or listening to a podcast at the same time. And what would happen if you did that? Well, it would affirm the identity of a person that keeps their word with themselves, because you said you were going to do it and then now you've done it. And in 15 minutes, when you go to bed, you're going to feel like you've overcome a barrier that would normally hold you back. You see, so what we've done here is we've had this thought bubble, this negative thought bubble that we usually succumb to and just take that as a statement. Instead, we've turned it into a, okay, what are the options here? And if you can think ahead to how you'll feel when you've done the thing, it changes everything. It helps to add context to your struggle. Okay, so we're all in these day-to-day struggles. If you listen to this podcast, you're in the minority of the world that, in a relative sense, is not struggling, actually. You have food, you have a home, and you have enough to get by. You might not be rich, you might not be living as luxuriously as you want to, but in a relative sense, you're not struggling. Any pain that you feel right now is not the type of pain that's going to kill you. If you just commit right now, not in 5 minutes, right now, to whatever it is that you're procrastinating over or don't feel like, in 30 minutes, it'll be over. The pain will be over and replaced by a feeling of achievement. I call this the success paradox. The success paradox is when every part of you doesn't feel like doing something, but you do it regardless. And then once it's done and the pain is over, you feel the exact opposite about how you felt. I'm in pain. I don't want to do this. This sucks. I did it anyway. Now I'm on the other side of the pain. I feel amazing. I've endorsed an identity that I want to become. That's a cast for the person I want to be. The point is, the discomfort you feel if you launch into action is very short-lived. The pain is very short-lived, and it will soon turn into the leverage that you need to change your life by changing who you are. Does this make sense, guys? There will always be resistance to the stuff that needs to be done. Always resistance. And here's why. Your brain is wired for survival. When you understand that your brain is not wired for thriving, your brain is wired for survival, to keep you alive. So anything that involves discomfort, by definition, is outside of your comfort zone, and the brain doesn't want to do that. The brain wants you to do things that feel easy and conserve energy, because that equals survival. But if you want to overcome yourself, you need to make a habit of doing the things that you don't feel like. That is what transformation of any kind is about. No one feels like saving money. Everyone feels like spending money on things that they want. You want to transform your life, you have to do the things that are difficult. You don't want to get in shape. You don't want to go to the gym. You have to do things that are difficult. You want to get a great relationship. You don't want to do the difficult conversations because they suck in the moment. But on the other side of them is the benefit. There's always two sides to the coin. Everything that's difficult is going to have resistance. And that to overcome that requires something that we call in our mastermind program, we call it activation energy. I want to give you a simple analogy. Activation energy is like trying to roll a boulder to the top of a hill. And that's the push, that's the resistance. It's hard, it's heavy because of the angle of the hill. But when you get to the top of the hill, what happens? As soon as it gets to the top of the hill, it rolls down the other side and it gains momentum the further down it goes, the quicker it gets. This is what it's like to do anything hard. It's hard to get it going, but then once you get going, it takes activation energy to get it going. But once you've created momentum, that momentum then creates motivation and it creates further action, and it just becomes easy once you're on the other side of the hill. If you're sitting on the couch, as an example, and you're procrastinating starting something like going to the gym, one of the simplest techniques that I ever got taught from Mel Robbins, her name is literally to just count backwards from 5 out loud. So I'm sitting here, all the thoughts are happening. I don't feel like doing this. I'm just like tired. Wait, I catch myself thinking, oh, that's a suggestion. That thought is instead a suggestion. What could I do? I could give up, or I could go to the gym. You know what? I'm going to feel better if I go to the gym. I'm going to feel, in an hour and a half time, I'm going to feel amazing actually. I'm going to have the pump. I'm going to feel great. Right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Poof. And the moment you hit 1, you get up, you get off the couch, you get your shoes on, you just concentrate on doing the next thing. You get your shoes on, you get to the car, you get to the gym. Once you walk in the gym, it's easy. It's just the activation energy that's required to get you there. Does this make sense? I'm going to finish off this episode, guys, by reading something from James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits, which I think is just perfect. Life is a balance between giving in to the ease of distraction or overcoming the pain of discipline. It's not an exaggeration to say that our lives and our identity are defined by this. What is life if not the sum of 100,000 daily battles and tiny decisions to either get up or give up? This moment when you don't feel like doing the work, this is not a moment to be thrown away. This is not a dress rehearsal. This is life. The moment is life as much as any other moment. And we should spend it in a way that will make us proud. When I heard this, I fell in love with it. So guys, hopefully this podcast episode has been helpful. A simple episode really, but it's a way to, I guess, recontextualize the way that we think about our struggles. I love this idea of a thought bubble, instead providing some alternatives, some suggestions. And if you can get good at looking at what those alternatives are, instead of just succumbing and giving up on yourself, this will help you to move through hard things. I appreciate you guys that have come in live. For whatever reason here, my comments have been disabled. So if you've been commenting, I haven't seen it. I do apologize. I'll chat to you guys in the next episode and see you next time from Vancouver. Ciao.